Oh, hi, I'm Kang. I just got back home after talking to some weird old dude with a long beard who was selling some funny looking cigarettes and was wanted on 4 counts of murder. But who cares about that? Check out these cool Pokeballs that he sold me. I feel like a real oh shit! That's inhumane. Pokemon Legends of Arceus is the first Pokemon game to change up the formula since 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 years. In 1996, Pokemon Red and Blue came out, which was the first in the franchise, and it was a massive success. An overhead RPG where your objective is to run around catching all the Pokemon. I own both these games and they were the first ones I played on my DS. I absolutely loved both those games and they're what got me into Pokemon. 2 years later, in 1999, a sequel came out, Pokemon Yellow, which was an overhead RPG where your objective is to catch all the Pokemon. Then in 1999, Gold and Silver came out, which was an overhead RPG where your objective is to catch all the Pokemon. Then in 2002, Ruby and Sapphire came out, which was an overhead RPG where your objective is to catch all the Pokemon. Are you sensing a pattern here? For 2.5 decades, Pokemon did not change. The objective was the same, the gameplay was the same, the combat was the same, all that changed was the system, the graphics, and the types of Pokemon you were catching. It'd be like if Mario and Sonic never made any 3D games, even though I kinda wish that Sonic never did make any 3D games. Sure, you had the occasional spin-off, but for the mainline series, it was this and only this. The lack of innovation and all the copy-pasting has left the Pokemon franchise pretty dead for the past decade. Sure, it's still the most profitable franchise ever, but when it comes to the quality of the games, they haven't been good since the DS. I mean, if you want proof, just look at the user score for Pokemon Sword, and yeah, it seems like some sort of war crime has been committed. Something needed to change, and finally, mercifully, after 2.5 decades, something finally did, and now we have Pokemon Legends of Arceus. Finally changing up the formula, going from an overhead RPG to a third-person open-world RPG. It's a change that finally brings some much-needed freshness to the franchise, and while I'm not a Pokemon diehard and have only played these games, I can definitely say that it is much better than this. I'm a really big fan of this new style, and exploring this open world makes the game actually feel like a AAA game. Alright, fine, I'll stop lying. Yeah, while this game's new style is great and all and definitely improves on the overall experience, I still can't help but feel like I'm playing a very cheaply made game. And what I mean by that is that these graphics are fucking horse shit. Yes, I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing people shit on this game's graphics, but come on. The year is currently 2022 and this game looks like it came out in 2005. I say that because Pokemon Gale of Darkness came out in 2005 and it looks just as good as this game. I mean, I get it, it's the Switch, and the Switch is half the size of a toaster and can't handle games that look like Red Dead, but let's not act like the Switch can't hold its own. The system can run The Witcher, Doom, Skyrim, Dark Souls, sure not very well, but it can run them in a playable enough state. Let's not pretend that Pokemon had to look like this due to technical limitations when those games are on the same console. There's so much that they could have done. For example, they could have done what Breath of the Wild did and could have gone for a beautiful art style, instead of this clay mush. Breath of the Wild's graphics aren't all that, but they're still amazing to look at just because of the art direction they took. I mean, they couldn't even be bothered to give these two side mission NPCs who stand 20 feet away from each other different faces. That's embarrassing. Even the FPS and view distance is hot garbage. I mean, just look at those wing flaps in the distance. There's a lot they could have done, but they didn't do, so I gotta call them out for it, even if I don't think that it's a deal breaker or anything. Sure, it's an issue, but graphics aren't everything, and this game has much bigger issues than the way it looks. For starters, the open world is boring. This game is split up into 5 different areas and 2 hub worlds. When I first started the game in Obsidian Fieldlands, it was actually pretty fun running around the world catching Pokemon, but that fun fades pretty fast once you enter the second region, then the third, and then so on as you basically do the same thing over and over again but with a new coat of paint. One is grass, the other is more dry, the other is a swamp, the other has snow, throw in some different Pokemon species, and that's every region. There really aren't any interesting towns or special events or anything like that, and the world is mostly just used for catching different Pokemon and going from point A to point B. Whether that be from your mounts like the Whiteear, who you can ride on land, or Braviary, who can fly through the air, or Basculegion, who you can swim with. Just make sure you don't try to swim yourself, because you're apparently Tommy Vercetti. The only time you're really interacting with the world is when you need to get an item, by throwing out one of your Pokemons to drop it from a tree, or to smash a crystal, or destroy a massive boulder 4 times its size. But half the times you can't pick up those items that your Pokemon drop, cause oh no, you don't have enough space in your satchel for that item. By far the most entertaining thing you'll do in the world is catching stuff, which is admittedly pretty fun for a while. You got 3 types of Pokemon in the world, some that couldn't care less about whether you catch them or not and do nothing when you approach them, some that book it the hell out of there as soon as they see you, and some that'll try to murder you on sight. Your character is 15, by the way. Majority of the Pokemon fall under the aggressive category, and to avoid aggroing them, you'll want to try sneaking up to them by crouching and using grass. That's right, in this game you attack the Pokemon from the grass, not the other way around. Once you get in the right position, you can hurl your ball at them and hope for the best. To improve your chances, you could do something called a back strike to increase the chances of your Pokemon staying in the ball, with a very satisfying sound if you pulled it off correctly. Or you could use one of the many different types of balls that this game gives you, like the feather balls, or the leaden balls, or heavy balls, or ultra balls, or great balls. God, they really should ask somebody to change up the grammar on these. It's honestly a really good gameplay loop that makes good use of the world and was pretty entertaining for most of the game's runtime. Although I will admit, I did get a bit bored of it in the last 5 hours and just sort of started running past everyone until I'd start getting hunted down by the entire world and be forced to fight. The fighting in this game is pretty similar to how it used to be, and it's probably the only feature that has remained mostly unchanged. There are some slight tweaks here though. For starters, you actually fight in the world for the first time and aren't taken to a separate battlefield. Yep, right in the middle of the map you could get into a fight and actually roam around while your Pokemon are trying to kill each other. It's a really cool addition. But the best change to the combat has to be the agile and strong style system. This adds another layer of strategy and thought to the combat that I honestly really liked and hope returns. Probably the coolest thing added though has to be the alpha Pokemons. I fucking love these things. You see them wandering around the map with glowing red eyes and they're twice the size of a normal Pokemon. Actually fighting them isn't too hard though if you know what you're doing and use the correct Pokemons, but don't get too comfortable because they'll still fucking one-shot your ass into oblivion. For the most part, I beat them pretty consistently, but what I wasn't able to do consistently was actually catch them. Other than that, the combat has mostly remained the same, which isn't a big problem since it didn't need much changing. They perfected it like 2 decades ago, and don't need to mess with it too much. My only other major complaint would have to be that it's just way too easy. I only died 3 times in 30 hours of gameplay, and out of all the duels, I didn't lose a single one of them. Sure, I'd get close sometimes, but in the end, I never actually lost. And I'm not even that good at Pokemon. Half the time, I have to look at fucking charts to know what Pokemon is weak to what. Even the boss battles in this game weren't difficult at all, and I first tried almost all of them except for 2. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, this game has actual boss battles. Something that I was not expecting at all, but I'm actually really glad that they added, are fully fledged boss battles. I'll only show the first one to avoid spoilers, but it's actually really fun. Basically, the gist of it is that there's certain Pokemons that are frenzied, which in English terms basically means that they've gone insane, and you have to slowly dwindle their health by throwing a bunch of these bombs at them, while at the same time dodging a bunch of attacks. Eventually, they'll get stunned and you could throw one of your Pokemon in to fight them in normal combat, and if you win, you do a ton of damage. It's actually really fun and works surprisingly well. My only complaint would have to be that, like I mentioned before, it's way too easy. I didn't really struggle on any of these bosses, and was able to beat all of them in either 1 or 2 tries. I would have preferred a harder difficulty, but I guess it's understandable since this is a Nintendo and Pokemon game, so there's gonna be a lot of kids playing it. In the end, I'm glad that the boss battles are here, and they're a great addition that I hope return.
Alright, so according to Google, you're called a Felis Catus.
That's way too long. I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna call you a Felis. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Get off. This is my favorite blanket. Get off. You're not allowed on here. Asshole, look at me. You're not allowed on here, you asshole. That's enough. You know what? Come here. Get in the ball. Get in the ball.
Get in the...
You lucky son of a bitch. The side missions in Legends of Arceus. They aren't great. They're mostly just find me this item, or find me this Pokemon, or complete this Pokedex. A lot of the time when I'd get one of these missions, I would already have the item or Pokemon on me, so I'd just be able to finish the mission instantly. Of course, there are a few more unique side missions, like find and stop those 3 beavers. I can't find the 3 beavers. Pretty shitty side missions, with the best probably being the balloon minigames that are actually pretty fun. Basically, pop all the balloons while riding on Deer, or just throw Pokeballs to pop all the balloons scattered everywhere. It's a minigame that wasn't necessary at all, but I'm glad it's here and it's a nice little fun game. But for majority of this game, you won't be doing side missions, instead you'll be playing the main story, which is... Basically, the synopsis of the story, without any major spoilers, is that you play as a 15-year-old who fell through a portal to the past, for some reason, with a super phone, for some reason, and now you have to save the world from a rift that's in the sky, for some reason, because this story doesn't explain anything. It's a completely mindless story that makes no sense and doesn't explain anything at all, which is shocking, considering that a fourth of this 30-hour-long game is cutscenes. And when I say cutscenes, I mean 2 characters staring at each other, making hand motions as you read the text at the bottom of the screen. This is the most boring way to deliver your story. These little conversations would be fine if they popped up occasionally or at least had voice acting, but they pop up like every 30 minutes and can be upwards of 5 minutes long of you reading chat bubbles because for some reason the most profitable franchise ever doesn't have the budget for voice acting. If I wanted to read, I'd grab a fucking book, but this isn't a book, it's a video game, and I'll be totally honest, I started getting sleepy at some points throughout these cutscenes. And the reason that I keep using quotations when I say cutscenes is because these aren't actual cutscenes, these are automated animation. The only time the game uses actual handcrafted cutscenes that are fun to watch is at the end of the game. So sit through 25 hours of this so you can get to the actual good shit at the end. And when I say 25 hours, I mean 20 hours, and 5 hours of filler roadblocks meant to arbitrarily extend the game's length. For example, near the end of the game, you'll be forced to frustratingly chase this little girl around the world for literally no reason. It's not explained why she's doing this to you, other than she wants to have fun. Meanwhile, the entire world is about to end, but fuck that, little cabbage girl wants to have fun. It makes no sense gameplay-wise or story-wise. The only reason it's here is to increase the game's length by like half an hour. But that's just a one-time thing. The worst offender is when you aren't a certain rank. The game will literally not allow you to proceed forward with the story until you rank up, despite the fact that the world is about to fucking end. Meaning you have to go out into the boring open world, catching and battling random Pokemon to complete random challenges for the Pokedex to try to get XP to rank up. It's such an unneeded addition that's clearly there just to increase game time. And after you beat the story and sit through the end credits, you see this. No thanks, I am good. But if you are insane enough to listen to that request and actually try to 100% this game, let me just tell you what you're in for. For starters, you have to beat the game, obviously, then do every side mission, catch all 242 Pokemon that are in this game, and if you think you're done there, guess what? You're wrong. Now do all the Pokedex challenges for every Pokemon, which are basically catch the specific Pokemon 25 times, then fight them 25 times, then watch them do a certain move a million times, then fight them with the specific Pokemon type, then castrate them, I don't fucking know. I completed a Pokedex entry for one Pokemon, Starly, and even that took me forever. If you think I'm gonna do this for 241 other Pokemon, you are out of your mind. This isn't really a complaint, and it's honestly a good thing that the game has this much content, but I just don't like this game enough to do all that. But overall, Pokemon Legends of Arceus is actually a pretty fun game. It definitely has glaring issues without a shadow of a doubt, but I'd say that it's worth the price. Especially if you're a fan of the franchise, you'll get your money's worth. For the rest, I'd wait for a price drop whenever that happens, Considering that it's a Nintendo game, it's probably going to take a while, but whenever it does, if you're interested, I'd try it out. There's enough good here to make it worth your time. This is a good starting point for the franchise, and hopefully Game Freak can keep this momentum going and fix some of the issues that were in this game in whatever sequel there's going to be. And hopefully that sequel won't revert back to the old formula. I hope to God that doesn't happen. If we stick to this new style and improve it, then I'll actually be looking forward to the next Pokemon game.
Hey, you are under arrest for the theft of a cat. Come out and nobody gets hurt.
Shit. Arrest? And what the fuck is a cat? And why didn't you tell me you were fucking stolen, you fucking... Oh, fuck. This is why you don't buy things from shady drug dealers.
Sir, you've got it wrong. It's called a Felis, and I don't remember stealing any Pokemon.
A Pokemon? Are you sure this guy's mentally stable? What kind of an idiot?
Kang, were you meeting with Rash Pluton wanted on 4 counts of murder?
I was meeting a guy with a long beard that was wanted on 4 counts of murder.
Alright, that's our guy. Kang, you have 30 seconds to enter peacefully, or else we'll enter by force. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12.
Did King and Felis survive the drop? Did they escape the police? I have no idea. I guess we'll just have to wait until the director thinks of something. Until then, thank you for watching the full video and I hope you enjoyed. And I heard begging for likes and subscribers is how you get big, so subscribe with post notifications on, and let's shoot for 1 trillion likes on this video. 1 trillion is more than the planet's population, but I'm sure we'll manage. Now here's a kangaroo.